anymore. I grew up in California, and it's just progressively gone a different way, at least in certain areas.
Now, when you lived in Maryland, were you also in show business then? Were you doing
yes, but there's less to do there. I did homicide, life in the streets there, and it's lots of industrials are done there. I became the voice of the most visited museum in the world, Air and Space Museum, and I did a lot of theater. 'Cause there's more theater there than in Los Angeles, even though it's much smaller, and it pays less. But at least there's very little paying theater in Los Angeles.
That's true.
And I'm a professional actor who's been doing theater for over 50 years, so I prefer getting paid as opposed to saying, oh, well, I've got,
I'm
40
doing
hours
for the
a
love
week.
of the
I'll
art.
just, yeah. So, yeah, I did, but I was also doing writing there. My book on comedy teams was reissued and updated. Covers team comedy in the 20th century. And that's also on the site. And
so you're busy.
Oh, yeah.
And you still have, don't you have Mouseketeer reunions?
Yeah.
You still perform?
Yeah, sure. We were at, I was with Bob, Sherry, and Sharon for the 50th of Disneyland in July. We did a show, and part of a show, and got the only standing ovation. So
Really?
We sang and danced and put it together in one day. We came in, rehearsed with the band once, had a dress rehearsal, went on that night for 12 minutes of new material. We knew the songs, but all the choreography was new and all the dialogue. Then I was going to be there at the 50th anniversary of the Mickey Mouse Club, but I had a rotator cuff that I went through 5 hours of very painful rehearsal on, and even with the pain pills, I couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it.
Well, plus on pain pills, you could fall on your face.
Well, I just wasn't taking full because I had to think during the rehearsal, because this is, again, one of their last-minute dealies where they try to squash it all together. And so I wasn't there for the 50th at Disneyland, because the next day was a 15-hour day, and the one after that was 12 hours. And I couldn't do the dancing. If they had asked me to just do the signing and the Q&A and all that, I would have done it, but they didn't.
They want you to work. They want you to dance.
Yeah, and I said, oh, I can't dance. I'm in pain, and I had surgery afterwards. It wasn't like I was,
You still get together, though? Are you friends? Or
we did for a while, not as much any longer. Partially, we lived in the East. Most of them live here in California. Cubby doesn't. He lives in New York. Karen lives in Fresno. But everybody else is pretty much in California. When I was living back east in Maryland, D.C., not as much, and not since we've returned either. But there was a time in the 80s when there was a renaissance of the show. We did the 25th anniversary show, the special, which I also was the second writer on, as well as being one of the hosts. Then we did shows at Disneyland, one of which I wrote and co-directed and co-choreographed, the first one, and we did those for 5 years. And then we got together, and different people would hang out with others, and one person had a Derby Day party every year, and we'd all get together for that. And we're in touch that way, but I'm the only Mouseketeer who has a website that keeps people up to what's going on, Cubby's third marriage and whatever.
Yeah.
And not divorces, so I never mentioned
that.
And I try to keep track, but people are, but they all have their own families, and their kids have grown up now, and they've got
have a different life.
grandkids, and
Yeah. I want to look at another, let's see another show.
Okay.
Okay, let's roll that one in.
You are about to walk out on the sale of a lifetime. Did you know that this price is 50% off during our special 8 to noon sale? Huh? Really? Damn. What? It's 5 after 12. Spoke too soon. Sorry.
You mean I can't have it at the sale price?
Tell you what, just for you, I'm going to set my watch back 5 minutes.
You are?
Just this once.
Thank you. Thank you.
See, you're funny.
Yeah, I know, but it's trying to get through the Cassie thing. That's the Charmings, by the way, a short live series. I'll tell you. I'll give you an example. Iggy Woofington is a well-known theater actor who created the role of Marcellus, the best friend of the Music Man. I was cast in this in stock with Peter Marshall as the star, because most people know Peter was on, before the Hollywood Squares, he was on Broadway. He was a singer and an actor. And we had a hell of a time. We enjoyed each other very much. But because Iggy is and the film, it was Buddy Hackett, also very fat, they think he has to be fat. Well, I got this really interesting casting director, and he knew he didn't have to be fat, and he cast me, and I was funny and got extra laughs and all kind of stuff. Besides, there's a lot of fat jokes in the text about another character, so why do you need a second, I never got cast in that role again, That was in the 70s.
Uh-huh.
And I even went to getting exercise pants and putting a pillow in there when I read for the role. And nobody ever hired me for it again, and I had done it because they want this certain kind of idea, which is a funny-looking fat man, which has nothing to do with the role.
Right.
It doesn't have to be that. And you're not playing Oliver Hardy, you know? Casting is very strange.
Well, don't you find casting directors sometimes, they just don't see things?
Well, that's why you try to give them a suggestion without going overboard, of course. But if they look at your picture and don't buy it, or they know your work is this, that's why I don't get as many funny chances like that as the killers and the bad cops and the junkies.
Mm-hmm. Well, they need to spend an afternoon or evening with you then. You cracked me up in
how
the
else can you be married for 35 years, man? You don't laugh.
Well, your wife is humorous too.
Well, she enjoys humor well, and she's funny too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you keep each other laughing.
Well, I keep her laughing, and she keeps me smiling.
So you're doing your memoirs, you said.
Yeah, yeah.
And when do you think that would come out?
Well, you've got to get a publisher and all that, John.
That's true.
This, unlike my first book, I was very fortunate. I had an agent, and all I did was write 3 pages and outline some chapters of what I want to do in the Comedy book, and I got an advance. Now, that's very unusual. Most people care about a subject, write a book, and then try to throw it over transoms or get an agent to get it in, etc. And everybody's writing a memoir now, so I don't know when it's going to be published. The important thing for me, and I've read a few memoirs, but not many, but one by John Updike sticks out to me, and that is that you really write a memoir to find out more about yourself. Because you go back and look at things that you don't look at, you don't talk about. I'm not, it's not Sunset Boulevard. I don't watch tape of myself, even though I have a DVD with roles that are straight and with the Mouseketeers and with talk shows and whatever.
Right.
I sell that. I don't look at it, and you forget things and you start writing and all of a sudden you say, oh, what about this? What about, oh, I forgot about, oh, and then there was this time, that's how I came on a memory that's been recently stolen from me by another Mouseketeer of Walt and I on the first year. There was 24 kids, and I'm walking down the street, and he was always a very avuncular, pleasant fellow. And he said, hi, Lonnie, how are you? I said, well, hello, Mr. Disney. And I walked past, and I say, hey, up to 24, he knows who I am. And then I realized that my name is across here, Lonnie. That's how I know. Well, another female Mouseketeer, since I was into the 50th.
Yes.
She stole that from me. Can you believe
Oh,
that?
she did?
Yeah. Then I just saw a thing last night on TV on another show, and I started this a while back, because I got it back. That a male Mouseketeer is saying the same thing. And I say, well, I guess I'm going to have to think of something else or remember something that nobody's going to take.
Do you know we have less than a minute?
Okay.
So we're going to have to say goodnight, but I mean, I am so glad you came.
Thank you.
You're welcome anytime.
LONNIEBURR Google.
Okay, I think you can remember that. How should we end this? Do you have any ideas?
Yeah, I think we ought to do, Walt says everybody who watched the show and sang along was a Mouseketeer, so you're an honorary Mouseketeer.
Okay.
And we'll just, now it's time to say goodbye to all our company. M-I-C, see you real soon. K-E-Y. Why? Because we like you. M-O-U-S-E. Okay.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It was really great.
Yeah,
It was fun.
went fast.
It went very fast.
I had so many things to talk about. There was the time that Annette,